Hi there. Have you been dreaming about ditching the 9 to 5 grind? You're not alone. And since you're watching this video, more than likely you're at a crossroads in your life and asking yourself, should I keep working or is it finally time to retire? And you may be at this crossroad because you've done everything right. You've saved diligently and you've planned strategically, but you're just hesitant. And it can be super scary just to take that final leap because working is all you've ever known. Believe me, I've been there. Or even if you're not at this crossroads but are in the daydreaming phase, stay tuned because no matter where you're at in your life, whether it be the daydreaming stage or at the crossroads stage, in this video, I'm going to give you 6 compelling reasons to retire as soon as you can. Because there are big advantages to taking the leap sooner rather than later. And be sure to stick around because all of these are so important, especially the last one. The first reason is the opportunity cost of continued work. Now, this is something you just don't hear a lot about, but seriously think about it. Every year you spend working is one more year you're not using to explore new opportunities like spending more time with your family, traveling, pursuing hobbies that you've always wanted to do, but just never had the time to do while working, or simply just enjoying your life and not having the day-to-day stress that comes with a full-time job. And believe me, there's nothing better to waking up when you want to and not having to set an alarm. When you're working long hours, you're giving up the chance to do other things that might bring you a lot more joy and fulfillment. You've heard the saying, time is money, but the reverse is also true. Money earned in a job can take away time from doing what you love and with who you love. So it's time not to chase another paycheck and another promotion. Because in the end, that's not what you're going to care about. What you will care about, though, is the time you missed out on that you could have had. And the second reason is a big one, and a big reason why I retired early last year at the age of 55. It's your health. Now, as much as we all like to think we're invincible, the reality is time catches up with you. The older we get, the more we realize that health is really our true wealth. The earlier you retire, the more time you have to take care of yourself, focus on fitness, and enjoy life while you're still healthier and stronger. Have you ever thought about the last decade or so of your life? If you've been working 40+ hour weeks, how many of those years are spent really enjoying your body, your energy, and your health? And have you felt that the constant stress of your job is ruining your health? I certainly did. I was a healthcare IT analyst for 26 years prior to retiring early, and the chronic stress and long hours was totally affecting me. I had nights of insomnia, and it was hard to find the time or motivation to exercise because I was just too tired to do it from work. And then to deal with the stress, a lot of times I turned to food and overate. This was one of the biggest reasons I retired early. I really felt that my job was slowly killing me. Retirement gave me better control over my health. I now have the time to focus more on it. And the best thing is my stress level literally went from 100 to 0 overnight. And those nights of insomnia are long gone. And by retiring as soon as possible, you're giving yourself a head start on enjoying those golden years with a healthier body. Because once you're in your 60s or 70s, it's going to be harder to recover your health. And waiting to retire could mean losing years of time with a healthier body to do all of the things you look forward to in retirement. Our next reason is a big one and something people don't think about. Reason number 3 is the future is always uncertain, just like it always has been. It seems like every time we turn on the news, there's just something new to worry about. There's the ever-present worry about inflation, and this year it's the tariffs, the stock market volatility we've been seeing all this year, rising healthcare costs, and the list goes on and on. It can all seem very overwhelming. But you know what? The future's always been uncertain. Just like today, people in the past have faced huge, world-shaking events that made them think, now is just not the right time to retire. But think about past events like the 2008 financial crash or the dot-com bubble bursting in the early 2000s. During those periods, many people thought the economy was going to collapse and they put off retiring for years. But you know what happened? The world kept turning. People who retired during those uncertain times are still living well today. The reality is there will always be risks, but sitting around waiting for the perfect time means you could be missing out on the life you really want. The simple fact is the future will never be perfectly predictable. So the key is getting comfortable with uncertainty and trusting that you'll be able to adapt and thrive even in the toughest times. And keep in mind, part of your diligent retirement planning you've been doing is preparing for the event of these uncertainties. To be able to even consider retiring, you would have ran Monte Carlo simulations, for example, analyzed different what-if scenarios for what could happen with the stock market, and you've set aside liquid assets to ride out a bear market and recovery. So my point is there will always be uncertainty, but isn't that also what you've prepared for in order to retire? And then there's reason number 4, arbitrary goals. If you've ever said to yourself, I'll retire when I'm 60, then this one's for you. But did you pick that age arbitrarily without really putting much thought to it? You may have, and we all do it. We set age targets or financial goals that we haven't really put much thought into. But what if instead of setting an arbitrary age or financial goal, you actually did put some thought into it? Instead of waiting for some number to come up, focus on the real actionable steps that'll help you achieve financial freedom and quality of life. If you can retire now, why are you waiting? To be completely honest, this was me too. If you asked me even a couple of years ago when I was going to retire, my answer was, well, I'm not working past 65. So I was just as guilty as picking an arbitrary number. But the reality is, once I started really crunching the numbers and putting my assets and investment portfolio through the punches and several what-if scenarios and running Monte Carlo simulations on each of them, and then I used some fantastic retirement planning software to do this called Bolden, and I'll put a link to it in the description. Once I seriously crunched everything, because I had been doing everything right all along, the result told me that there wasn't any real reason I couldn't retire early. And it was a real wake-up call for me. And I asked myself, what the heck am I doing working in this stressful job that I'm not happy with when I don't need to be? Life is too short. I then ran my analysis across a couple of advisors as well for their professional opinion, and they validated my numbers too. And that was all I needed to take the leap. And I have 0 regrets. So if you're finding you're picking an arbitrary number like I did, take the time to seriously crunch the numbers. And you may find, like I did, that retirement is within your grasp. So why wait? Which leads us right into the 5th reason, which is you might be financially ready without realizing it. Quite simply, most people are overestimating how much they need to retire. And it's natural to do this. After all, one of the biggest fears we have is running out of money. So we get caught up in a number like, I need $2 million to retire. But the truth is, you may already be in a better financial position than you think. And realize that spending in retirement doesn't follow the same pattern as when you were working. The biggest chunk of your spending happens early in retirement during what you may have heard of called the go-go years. After that, your spending naturally drops off as you slow down and may come back up again because as we get in our twilight years, we generally need more healthcare. This is known as the retirement spending small pattern you may have heard about that was coined by David Blanchett in 2014. And if you've done your financial planning, you may have already saved enough for the long run, like I had. And remember about the income you may have coming in as well so that your investment portfolio is not covering the entire load. You've got Social Security coming in that can cover a chunk of your needs, and you may have other types of regular income that come in too, like through a rental property. And yes, Social Security will be around when you retire. It's not going to disappear at some point in the future to nothing. That is one of the biggest myths out there. And last week, I released a couple of videos to cover the top 10 retirement myths and how they're costing you. And I'll include them at the end of this video and in the description, so be sure to catch those. Now, if the reasons I've shared still haven't convinced you, the final one should. Reason number 6 is losing precious life moments, your family relationships, and your health. The final reason should really hit home because life's best moments aren't about work. They're about the people you love, the experiences you share, and the memories you create. And the older you get, the more you realize that relationships and your health matter more than anything else. If you keep postponing retirement, how much are you sacrificing these two most important things you have, where you're not focusing on your health or your relationships because work is just keeping you too busy and is a priority? And how many more years will you spend waiting to be more present for your loved ones without having to ask for time off? Time spent with family, friends, and the people who matter most is something you can't get back. I've seen so many retirees who wish they had spent more time with their aging parents, more time with their kids or grandkids while they were still younger, or simply more time doing what made them happy. Waiting just one more year to retire can feel small at first, but over a lifetime, those years add up, and you might end up missing out on the very things that make life meaningful. And add up to what you're missing in even just a single year of postponing retirement. If you just work only 40 hours a week, and I know many of you work more than that, but just use that as a ballpark, and let's go with working 48 weeks out of the year to allow time for vacations, sick days, and holidays. That alone is 1,920 hours you could have spent doing everything else that really mattered to you. Every day you wait is another day you could be making more memories, laughing with family, or living fully, and you can't put a price on that. If any of these reasons hit home, it's time to take a serious look at your retirement plan. I'd love to know what's stopping you from retiring early. Drop a comment below, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit like and subscribe. And when you're on the go, check out the Early Retirement Roadmap podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, or go to mikeupland.com for all of my media, including my blog. Until next time, this is Mike Upland, early retiree last year at age 55. Take care and make the most of today.